What's up, all you Player 1s and Player 2s out there? My name is Chris.
And I'm Robbie.
This week, Capcom wants us to return to the days of yore. PlayStation may or may not have an answer back to Xbox Game Pass. And finally today, we're each going to give our rundown of our top 5 favorite space adventure games.
All that and more on this week's episode of Super Game Knobs.
Let's do this.
What's up, everyone? Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of Super Game Knobs. How you doing today?
Pretty good, man. It is getting hot out there.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
That's Vegas heat.
Feeling like spring is finally upon us.
No, it's feeling like summer is here. It is 90 degrees out there.
Definitely
I'm breaking a sweat.
Definitely tends to skip seasons.
And in the studio, it's only getting hotter.
Yeah.
But hey, as it gets hotter, so does the news.
Yeah, it does. What you got for us this week?
Well, we got something pretty cool. Let me start off with something. Remember when you were young and you're running home from school?
That was last week.
Okay, well, last week when you got home, you threw open the front door and you threw your bag on the ground. You ran to that kitchen. You got your Capri Sun and your Dunkaroos.
Absolutely.
Well, Capcom wants us to revisit those days because if you also remember when you finished getting your Dunkaroos, you run in the kitchen, you plop your butt right down the carpet, you turn on your TV, and what'd you watch? Disney in the afternoon. Those days, man.
Mm-hmm.
You had Tailspin, Darkwing Duck, Chippendales, DuckTales, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, that was our childhood. We grew up and we saw that. For the younger viewers, you may not remember it. Well, if you don't, and if you do remember it, Capcom wants us to return to those days. This past week, Capcom announced the Disney Afternoon Collection.
That's right. It's got a collection of 6 games that we've played in the past on Nintendo, on the NES.
Yeah, which is surprising because it will not be releasing for the Switch. Which I don't know if that's a maybe because Nintendo isn't allowing it. Maybe they want to release them on NES Virtual Console. But either way, I am super excited for this.
Yeah, they've got
super excited.
Chippendale Rescue Rangers. I think 1 and 2.
No, I just believe just 1.
Just 1.
Because there was only that one. But it does have DuckTales 1 and 2.
DuckTales 1 and 2.
It's got Tailspin. It's got Darkwing Duck.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you're getting all those games. Let's see, you've got Darkwing Duck, Tailspin, Chippendales, DuckTales 1 and 2, and I think we said Tailspin. So, I mean, you're getting all of these again.
All being remastered.
Oh, no, you actually are getting both Chippendale Rescue Ranger titles.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're right on that, yeah. So you do get both of those, but that's not all. So you're not just getting them in this collection. First of all, you're going to get, they kind of redid them a little bit. You're going to get Boss Rush mode, Time Attack mode.
All right.
There's a museum mode, which I'm actually kind of interested in because I like looking at how those old games are made.
Behind the scenes stuff.
Well, and that Disney animation, because there were Disney animators involved.
On at least sprite work, right?
Yeah, and some of them, yeah. So when you have that, and I'm going to dive into that museum a little bit, spend a little bit of time there. Maybe they'll have some of that cool, funky music. But this week they basically released a trailer, and it kind of had like an 8-bit sprite. You should go look it up on Capcom Unity's page.
Yeah.
But it's got that music that's kind of reminiscent of when it would start up back in the day, the Disney in the Afternoon, and but it's like an 8-bit track, which I thought was so awesome.
Yeah.
And this just came right out of the blue. Like, I was not expecting this. Now, one thing I do want to point out is they are going to be in 1080p. They're kind of remastered. Mm-hmm. They're mainly just perfected a little bit. Don't get it confused with what they did with DuckTales last time.
Right. They completely redid like artwork and everything.
And the voice work and all that.
Voice acting and everything. No, it's not like that. It's just they've also introduced, like, since some of them were on the NES, they're a lot harder back in the day. They added a rewind feature to where you can actually, if you mess up, you can rewind it, try it again. You don't have to lose a life. So that's cool because I do remember getting kind of frustrated at those games, especially
some of them are really hard.
Going back and trying them again. Yeah, those are like Chippendales.
Chippendales was hard. The only one I think I actually ever mastered was the first DuckTales.
Yeah.
I played the heck out of that one.
Pogo hop throughout the whole thing.
That's all you really had to do is just jump on his little stick and all that other fun stuff. But yeah, so that comes out April 18th.
That's really soon.
Yeah, really soon. Well, I mean, they didn't have to put much work into this, I'm sure. I'm sure they had all the assets and they just kind of up-res and did what they could. But yeah, they didn't have to put much work into this. But April 18th, only $20. Now, I've heard some people complaining that $20 is too much. Come on, guys. You're getting 6 classic games. They're not really remixed, but remastered a little bit. $20 is not bad. It is coming to Xbox One, PS4, and PC. As I noted, no Switch.
No Switch. Which is really weird. Having it portable, too, would be really nice, you know. And it is just really weird how they started on Nintendo, and now they're not coming back to it. So that's...
And I mean, and maybe it's coming in the future. Maybe they're going to do some sort of collection release in the future. I think I would love to have that on the Switch.
Yeah.
I would love to just be out in public. I know, weird, playing a Disney game at our age, but, you know, those games were classic. Yeah, I loved those games.
Everyone loves
nostalgia. Yeah, it's a nostalgic trip back to the past. Disney in the afternoon. Check out, you know, like I said, Tailspin, which I don't think I ever played the Tailspin game.
No.
I'm not 100%
I'm struggling
sure.
to remember that one, too, at this point. But... We'll get to try it, I guess, when we get the...
Yeah, we'll definitely have it on April 18th. Maybe we'll do some, like, share play type thing where me and him will be playing through some of them together. Maybe we'll do something like that for that week it releases.
That's a good idea.
But yeah, I'm so excited for that. So excited for that.
Yeah. Next, we got a PlayStation Now. I think I talked about it last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, the PlayStation Now, how they were going to be... or the Xbox One games with gold.
Would they have the Xbox Game Pass coming out?
The Game Pass, yeah.
Is $9.99, and we talked about kind of how PlayStation Now, you know, they have their thing going for them.
Right, they have the streaming service, yeah.
But the fact you have to stream it kind of hurts it, but go ahead.
There was an update to that story, actually. The PlayStation Now, in response to... most likely response to that, are now announcing that they're going to be streaming PS4 games as well, in addition to the PS3 games that they already stream on there. This is supposed to be starting sometime in 2017. This is going to be applied to existing subscriptions. It's not supposed to be like an add-on or anything like that, so if you already have it in place, you're supposed to be getting PlayStation 4 games along with that. They're also, they added a Windows PC app so that you can actually play these games on your computer too.
Yeah, and they've had that for a little bit now, right? No Mac app though.
They're trying to, they're still trying to add the Mac support too, so we can get that going. But I've been messing around with it a little bit. I've been playing some like Lego Harry Potter on it. It works well. I mean,
it's gotten better, a little
smoother. Definitely since before when I used it, when it was first coming out, it was kind of, then I would say this is not a service I could use. But at this point, to play a few games here and there. I was also had it on the Vita. I was playing like Red Dead Redemption while I was on my Vita, just chilling in bed. So it's a cool service to have. I mean, it's definitely different than what the Xbox has got, but. We'll see how that happens.
And it's definitely an answer to Xbox. I mean, Xbox Game Pass just announced their thing a couple weeks ago, and they announced this pretty much the following week. Mm-hmm. It's definitely an answer to it, but look, here's the problem with it: it's still overpriced.
Yeah,
and I think they say they have 450. Didn't at one point they say they have 450 games on there?
483 is what they're saying.
But you really only want to play 20 of them.
Yeah.
So and $20 with it. I know they have that sale going. Do they still have it going on?
There's also, I don't know if so they're giving out a 7-day free trial. I don't know if you've got noticed.
Even if you've already had it before.
Yeah, even if you've already had it before. If you've got noticed on your PS4 on the notifications there, that's where I noticed it. They're giving away a code to get a discount on the monthly rate down to $16.99 instead of the $19.99.
Still overpriced though. I mean, $16.99. I'm still thinking that's $17 a month.
$17, yeah.
I mean, if you're in college, that's like 4 weeks worth of ramen right there.
Yeah, I mean, if you've already got a lot of subscription services going already, like Hulu, Netflix, if you've got PlayStation View and all that, so it just adds.
And you're still streaming. Like I really want to like it because I am definitely more of a PlayStation fan than anything else. I like Xbox, but I'm more of a PlayStation boy this time around than Nintendo or Xbox, but this in my opinion just does not defeat Xbox at all.
Yeah, no. Well, we haven't seen how that works yet.
So.
But in theory, it sounds like it should work out just fine if you.
You can just download it to the hard drive, and I can just take an external hard drive and fill it up.
But having the ability to play these games also on the Vita is
a plus,
really
and
cool.
on your PC.
And on your PC.
But I mean. I don't know.
TV, if you have a TV that has the app, you can even just sync a controller to your TV.
True.
and play.
So there's more options for you to play.
Yeah.
It's more versatile. So you got to kind of weigh your options. You're gonna have to stream from one, or if you primarily game at home, which I know a lot of people, they're not even into mobile gaming. They don't carry their Vita around. They don't, they just don't game on the go. Xbox may be more your thing, but if you have a Vita and you're in that full PlayStation ecosystem, like the streaming does work for most of the time. So I think if you're in that ecosystem, it may work out better for you.
I would say even like, let's say you go to someone's house and you have your computer with you and you hook it up to their TV or something, and then you're ready to go. You can play PS3 games wherever you're at. I don't know. I think that's pretty cool. I'll give it a try. I'll keep using it. I got that free trial. I'll probably give it a try with a month.
And let's see what happens in the PS4 games. Yeah, see what that happens. Then kind of report back.
I'll report back.
Let's see how that goes. Maybe they'll step it up. Because PS4, that's going to require more resources.
Yeah,
a lot more to stream, and you're going to get. I still think you're going to have that slight haziness that you get from streaming. That doesn't look visually perfect.
Right. It's
something there. It's just a little off.
Yeah, it just has a little bit of a. Like artifacting to it.
Yeah, something like that. But so let's see what happens with that. Check it out. Report back. But I've actually got some breaking news.
Breaking news.
Yeah, we need to get a real sound for that.
We'll probably fill it in.
We'll get some real sounds in there later. But right now we're gonna do the. I beat Zelda.
You beat Zelda.
I beat it.
Wow, that was cool.
As of last night, I have finished it.
All
2 weeks with it, and I have finished it.
What do you got to say about it?
Nothing. You have to tune in next week to figure out to find out my review.
All right, great.
Because I don't want to spoil next week's episode or anything like that. But yeah, I got nothing for you right now. All I can say is
how long did it take you?
About 50 hours.
50 hours.
And I don't think I've seen all the game, but stop trying to get me to talk about it because that's for next week.
All right.
It's for next week. We ain't talking about it now.
All right.
Just a little teaser, but I have finished it. So if anything, that just means, guys, a review is incoming. Nice. My formal review on Zelda Breath of the Wild is incoming for the Switch.
That'll be on next week's episode.
Yeah, but speaking of long-running adventure games franchises, this week something's coming out that I'm super excited for.
Yeah.
Mass Effect Andromeda.
Andromeda! Could they have picked a more space-sounding name like Andromeda?
Well, you got the Galaxy, the Andromeda Galaxy. Or you could talk about the Kevin Sorbo show. Andromeda. I don't know if this is a callback to that.
That's where my mind was going.
Hercules in space.
Yeah,
no. And so with that, me and Rob kind of got to talking this past week, and we started recounting some of our favorite space adventure games. And I'm putting a key word there. I'm capitalizing, if you will, emphasizing favorite, because this doesn't mean what we think objectively is the best as far as well made or anything like that, but just what we enjoyed. And we each have our own top 5, and they were quite different. You brought up some games that I completely forgot, I hadn't thought about in years, and although I did play them, some of them, they didn't make my top 5.
Yeah.
So do you want to start? Let me start.
Yeah, I'll go right into it then. Let's see here. I might even change the order as we go along with it, but I'm going to start.
Mine's pretty final.
Yeah, it's pretty final? Okay, Let's see. Number 5, I would say Star Fox Adventures.
Now that was a game.
It was a game. It was a game.
Because that was Rareware, right?
It was Rareware. It was a spin-off. It was almost like a spin-off of a Zelda game. It was based in some
Zelda or... because it was supposed to be a Zelda.
It was supposed to be a Zelda game, like some dinosaur or whatever world, but they ended up changing it into a Star Fox game last minute because it just fit better. So
now, did you play as Fox in that, Fox McCloud?
Yeah, you play as Fox McCloud, and you got a bushy tail.
I see. I kind of remember, for some reason, I remember the girl in it.
That blue.
Yeah, the blue fox girl. Like what was her name? I don't know, but. For certain, you can play as her too or something, right? Or
she had her own missions and stuff like that.
See, that's for some reason, that's what sticks out to me, not even playing as Fox.
Well, the reason it's on my list, even in the first place, is just because, we've got, it was basically Zelda, like you're playing Zelda.
In space.
And you had Star Fox, which at the time we had Star Fox 64, which was awesome. That was like one of my favorite games of like that generation.
And that came out on GameCube, right? And we didn't have a solid Star Fox for GameCube yet, right?
No, they had like Star Fox Assault and all that, and it didn't really.
Yeah, we didn't have anything solid. And this comes out by Rareware, and at that point, in my opinion, they were still king of the platform.
Very trusted, yeah. They were coming
king
off
of the platforms.
Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie and.
Conquers.
Yeah.
God, Conquers. That's still my favorite Rare game. So, okay, let's jump to my number 5.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever played this one, and some of you out there, if you remember this, you may laugh at me, but I don't care because when this game came out, I loved it.
Yeah.
Advent Rising was supposed to be a 3-part game and made by Majesco.
Okay.
And they screwed the pooch on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
They well, to put it lightly, the game came out and it was pretty buggy.
This was on Xbox, right?
Xbox, original Xbox. I think it released for the other platforms at the time, but I remember I played it on Xbox, and they had this big Xbox Live contest where you could win $1 million. I don't know whatever happened with that. I don't know if anyone won it, but I think that in part played to their doom.
Yeah, probably.
Because when this game came out, it was going to be slated to be a 3-part trilogy, epic space adventure. It had music by Tommy Tallarico.
Right.
By Tallarico Studios and all that stuff, and from his Electronic Playground days.
Yeah.
But it was a fun game, and in my opinion, it was kind of like an early Mass Effect. It didn't have.
I was just gonna say, it sounds like it was trying to be Mass Effect.
Yeah, well, it was more action oriented than RPG oriented. It had more of it had these like what they call them flicky controls, where basically you could aim while you were running and keep shooting, and like you would flick the joysticks to aim and stuff. So it had a kind of a cool mechanic when it worked. But the other problems with the game that came out was that the music would just cut out at times. It had huge audio issues at times. Just little glitches here and there, but all that aside, what I loved about the game was it was the first time in that era where we had a game that had that grand kind of scope, that had that space adventure, that had your kind of your Han Solo-esque character, because you were I think his name was Gideon Wyeth. He was kind of like the main character, and it built up. The game built up, and it had an epic ending. You're fighting in this kind of chapel type thing, and you're just you're going at it, and then it goes to this cutscene, which is very reminiscent of Shenmue 2. Yeah. It brought up the same feelings that I had from Shenmue 2 and Shenmue 2 ended, because it ends on a very major cliffhanger. It ends with something that you'd been hearing about all game, and then something's about to finally happen, and then it cuts off. And then you were supposed to be waiting. We were waiting for the sequels to come out. They never came out. Just like when Shenmue 2 and they're staring up at that sword and it goes to an end and you thought you were finally going to finish the story. We never thought we'd finish that story, which thankfully we finally are. Shenmue 3 is coming out soon, but I'm not trying to get off topic here, but I don't think we'll ever finish Advent Rising, and it's kind of a sad story because that was an epic story that built up, and one that just kind of at the end, well, I'll never know.
Fell flat.
I'll never know what happened.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah. So, moving on.
Next one for me was Mario Galaxy, number 4.
That was a Mario game I never finished. I finished 2, but I never finished the first one.
It was just, because Mario 64 had a really, really dear place in my heart. I mean, that game.
I think it's got a place in a lot of our hearts, man.
That was awesome. And then for me, Mario Galaxy brought me back that feeling. I mean, I was older, but still getting those feelings as like a little kid again, playing Mario Galaxy. Mm-hmm. The music was amazing. The graphics, all the how animated he looked like a little cartoon character. I thought they did a really good job on that game.
And it's Mario in space.
Mario in space.
And it had that cool mechanic where you're running around like the
that
spherical...
was the best part. Yeah, exactly. You're running around, the gravity changes as you're jumping around, you run around the planet and stuff like that.
And sometimes you had to build up the speed to get to the gravity of the other one to pull you down. Like I said, I played 2, but I think, because I was not a fan of Super Mario Sunshine, I know, hate me all you want. I was not a fan of Sunshine. I thought it had cool concepts, but compared to Mario 64, it wasn't great.
Yeah.
So I kind of ignored Mario Galaxy and jumped in at Mario Galaxy 2. Plus, I thought, what was her name? Rosalina?
Mm-hmm.
She looked too human for the series. But I guess Odyssey is going to change all that anyways. But that's an interesting choice. Like, yeah. I never would have thought to bring Mario into a space.
They played very heavily on the on gravity and the physics of it, and that was what I thought was really cool about that game.
So very, very space astrophysics kind of. That's an interesting one to bring in. Like when we started having a discussion, I don't remember that one coming in, but that's not one that would even cross my mind at all. But it's a good one. Well, my number 4, and I'm going to do this in kind of 2 areas because we had the original, and then we had the recent re-release.
Right.
Doom.
It's a good one.
Mars, fighting demons on Mars.
Yeah.
Hell's Gate opens on Mars. Like, come on. What better space adventure can you have than Mars and demons?
You got space. That's where we got Space Marines from.
Yeah, Space Marines. The original Space Marine. Doom. Well, I guess technically...
No.
Aliens.
Video game Space Marines.
Yes, okay, video game Space Marines. But, so you have Doom comes out. And the reason I said I want to split this up into two parts is the original Doom, yes, kind of invented it. But the Doom that came out, was it 2 years ago, 2015?
Yeah.
That reinvented that series, and that solidified it for me as a great space adventure. It was one of those games that it had the horror, but it took us back to the old FPS days. Mm-hmm. And it kept, like, when you first step out onto Mars in that game, you're on Mars. And then you start fighting, and it's intense, it's action-packed, there's nothing I can think of, and all building up to that final boss battle. And I can't think of anything to really complain about it, other than the fact that it gets so intense sometimes that you gotta have, like, a towel just to wipe that sweat off, because, I mean, there's times where you're like,
wipe the controller down.
Yeah. Wipe them hands down. You have to have like an air dryer just constantly blowing on you, because like a fan, because it's just, you're gonna be wiping that sweat. That was such a great callback to the original series, such a great, just solid game.
Yeah.
But yeah, Doom. That is my number 4 spot for my favorite space adventure game.
You know, that's a good lead into my 3 actually, because with that horror theme there, mine actually is Dead Space.
Ooh, there's a good one.
Mm-hmm. Dead Space to me was, in many ways, like a successor to Resident Evil 4 in my eyes. Like the gameplay style, the horror, over the shoulder, you've got the slow moving like horror aspect of like disgusting creatures coming at you.
And the quick moments where it grabs you and starts dragging down the hallways and stuff.
That was, and it really makes you feel like you're alone in space, like you're just.
Oh yeah, that was it
did that.
And you hear those
so
trickling
well.
sounds,
yeah.
and like and you be like, I remember in that game turning around really fast and
Yeah.
just being like, "What is that?
No,
is there something over there?" Did you play and beat all 3 of them?
I didn't finish 3, no, but 1 and 2, those are amazing.
I think over time 3 became so action oriented. It kind of had that Mass Effect run, which I'll talk about in a second. But the first one was pretty solid,
very scary,
very very scary. Second one became more action oriented. In my opinion, I think it kind of peaked there. 3, although good, it went too action.
It was good for co-op though.
Oh yeah, great co-op, but too actiony. I think they needed to draw back the action and go to those creepy hallways again.
That's what I liked about it. And I would specify 1. I would specify 1 was my favorite.
The weapons with the saw thing, you could turn it sideways and saw things in half, and then you have the gravity running around you. That game was just...
Definitely.
That was phenomenal when it came out. And Isaac, playing around, just running around as old Isaac. Oh, Isaac Clarke.
That was my top 3.
Mm-hmm. So that's okay. So it made
that was my 3. Yeah.
Okay, my 3rd. We're going kind of way back here, not way back, but SNES days. I'm sure a lot of people are gonna love this one. Super Metroid.
Now, Samus.
Old Samus. Now that was first time we learned. We find out Samus is a girl, and I when I was a kid, that never even bothered me. Like, I know some people, like, when they found out Samus was a girl, like, I remember people saying, "It's a girl?" It's like when you uncovered that Link's name's not Zelda.
Wait, what?
Oh. Yeah, Link's name is not Zelda. It's like, it's the Legend of Zelda. It's not the Legend of Link. But
that just blew my mind.
Yeah, right? But Super Metroid, what makes that game stand out so much for me is the tone it had.
Right.
At the time, Nintendo was releasing the Super Mario and the Kirby's and the Yoshis, and they had this bright, colorful sense.
Very cute.
And Metroid's very colorful, don't get me wrong. It has the great color scheme and stuff, but what sets it apart is the tone, the ambiance it has. The music is generally terrifying at times. Like, and to pull that out back in the day, when I remember sitting in my room, it's dark, and you got the flashing screen in front of you, and it was terrifying. You'd hear that creepy music, or you'd run outside and you'd hear the rain next to a ship, and it gave this overall ambiance tone that was creepy.
Yeah, I mean that led on into the other Metroid games. Like for me, that was Metroid Prime. I feel like that that creep factor to it too, because you're just
it
had that first of all it was first person, so that kind of just changes that.
See, I need to go through those fully. Like I think I beat the first one, but I never did 2, and I never did the third one.
I like to,
I was more of a fan of the 2D ones because as a fan of Castlevania, like that was Castlevania in space in a lot of ways. I mean, you had the save point. I mean, it really was Castlevania in space. Mm-hmm. And then you had the map, so it was like an adventure, and you could put it down, come back, and come back to it later, and you continue. It was like a grand adventure, all building up to this final boss fight, and the boss fight was epic at the time. Like we didn't have a lot of games that built you up to that moment in a 2D side-scrolling manner, and it felt action-packed. There was when you start getting the sprint thing, you're running quicker, and it became so action-oriented for a 2D game and 2D space game that it will forever stay on my list of favorite space adventure games.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a good choice. That's a really good choice. My second game, and keeping on that adventure feeling kind of thing, Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet and Clank was...
any specific one in the...
I would say just the first one. PS2 came out. It was a very, like, you'd go to different planets, all the different weapons, gadgets and stuff. Voice acting was awesome. Fun little story of...
And then the remade one. I mean, we could throw the remade one in with that because it is a remake of the first. And that was the first time because I never played the original. So that was the first time, and that was just amazing.
It was a great game. I don't even what else to say about it. I mean, it's got everything you could possibly want. You got a gun that can turn people into chickens.
So you have the chicken gun, and then it had that collecting aspect. Mm-hmm. It was a platforming game.
Lots of collecting.
It was like a platforming with heavy action.
Yeah.
I mean, that was... I mean, what else can you say? Like you said, what else can you say? It was everything you wanted. Like, it had... Like, I was a fan of Jak and Daxter, which is why I didn't touch Ratchet and Clank for a while.
Also a really good game.
But so, like, when I played Jak and Daxter, had this kind of very colorful and easier, and it had the action moments, but it wasn't quite action-y like Ratchet and Clank was. Ratchet and Clank stuff was exploding everywhere. Yeah. And then you got the remade one for PS4, and all the textures and everything flying around at once.
Scattergun, you've got all this different, like, explosions and all that shit going off, yeah.
Yeah, that game was just... That was a hot game when it came out, I know, and then they did several sequels. All of I can't even like, and they all had their little
Up Your Arsenal. And they had the one with just Clank running around, the secret agent Clank.
And wasn't that was a PSP?
PSP game, yeah.
Yeah, because they had a couple spin-offs like that for the PSP.
But all the games were good.
They were pretty solid. Yeah, I want them to actually go through and I would like to see them remake them all for the PS4.
Yeah,
that'd be
awesome. Like
maybe
a
not everyone.
Like how Kingdom Hearts kind of has it.
Yes, that would be perfect. Like, they don't have to remake them all, but maybe up-res them a little bit. Or heck, just release them on the PS2 area of the PSN store.
Yeah.
I'd get them there. I'd go through them again. Give me some trophies to get. I'd go through them again. I already went and gotten all the Sly Cooper trophies.
Oh, you know what? Actually, that's Ratchet and Clank. They have a whole bunch of their games on PlayStation Now. Actually,
Boom.
So if you wanted to play those,
that is true. I can go through and get some trophies.
They have almost all of them on there, actually. So.
But not the PS2 era ones. I think they
not the PS2 era ones, but they have all the ones from the PS3. So try that out.
See, that is awesome. Okay, well, moving on.
Mm-hmm.
This next one, which, let's be honest, was a prelude to Mass Effect in many regards, but in a different universe. Knights of the Old Republic 1.
Yes.
Now you've got a lot of people that are going to say, you'd probably say to me, why'd you pick that one over the second one? Because I thought the story was better in the first one. It had a very Star Wars-esque story leading up to an epic reveal at the end.
I totally agree with you there.
And, that reveal comes at the very end. And when you see that, I remember sitting there and I was playing it on Xbox, because I remember it being toted around like Final Fantasy and Star Wars coming out. I played that game so religiously when it came out. Like, you couldn't tear me from that screen. No, awesome. I was so into it. I remember my dad, big Star Wars fan, got me into Star Wars. I remember him walking by my room one time and being like, what is this? Hearing the Star Wars music. And I'm like, it's Knights of the Old Republic. And he was kind of zoned in at that moment, like, oh, what is this? Because he was a fan of Final Fantasy as well back in the day. Which is his birthday this weekend, so happy birthday, Pops.
Happy birthday.
Anyways, back to what I was saying. So KOTOR comes out. It had that, you could go to those space stations. It had that very Star Wars when the ship was going off and coming in.
Different planets you can go to and all that.
Yeah, and they had the ambiance, all the side quests. It was the first real Star Wars or really open space adventure that we had that was kind of like that with the voice acting and the combat system, which the combat system compared to Mass Effect was a little weak because you had to stop, select what you want to do, and then resume, stop, select what you want to do, and then resume. So, but you can see that they were laying the groundwork for their own space opera.
Yeah, I liked how for me, it was being able to build your own lightsaber.
Yes.
That was super cool. You can choose the color of it. You can choose if it's double-ended.
Yeah, and but you had to find the parts to be able to do that. And you I think I had like a
search them out and stuff.
A double-bladed yellow one, and all leading up to take down Malik. And then just leading up to that epic boss fight at the end was just so exciting. Like like I said, it had that Star Wars, and I remember playing this music that wasn't like the one from Episode 1, but was pretty close. That when they did the Darth Maul fight, so that's what made it awesome too. Is it was like Star Wars in an RPG,
and that you can choose the dark side and the light side.
Oh yeah, you had the
totally change the look of your character too.
Yeah, because you could get like his eyes, and he would just start turning darker, and his skin would look grayer.
Like a scar.
Oh yeah, you get a scar across your face, depending on if you went light side or dark side. And then with that, you had the powers.
Yeah.
You had the dark side powers and the light side powers, and they did differ quite differently. And I think I actually went dark side.
I can't think of another game that did that before that, like that I played heavily.
I don't think so. Because Fable came out for the 360, right?
Yeah, Fable was after.
Yeah, so Fable definitely came out after. And I'm sure there may have been some PC games that had kind of the good, bad type thing, but that was the one that really, you could see the changes. You could see what your choices, how they weighed on the way your character looked.
And how people reacted to you, too, because that would change the way they spoke to you as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would prefer them to do a KOTOR 3. I wish BioWare could do it. I know they have the Old Republic, which is their online kind of MMO style one, but I would prefer a full-on KOTOR 3. Like, I would love that. I would buy that. Listen to me, BioWare, EA.
Listen up.
Because EA's got the Star Wars license.
Yeah, they do.
Boom.
Oh, man.
EA, BioWare, look, I would buy that day one. Give us another KOTOR, but you can make it more action-oriented. You've done enough Mass Effects now. I love Mass Effect, but come on. Yeah. Let's get a KOTOR 3 out there. I'm sure...
Please.
Hey, look, if everyone agrees with us, click like on this video. just click like on it, because I'm sure most of you out there are going to agree that we need a KOTOR 3. Hey, it rhymed.
Yeah, I think so. That's nice.
All right. Okay. What is your number one? What is your number one favorite space adventure game of all time?
Okay, don't hate me for saying this, because I know this game has gotten a lot of heat in the past. Destiny.
I don't hate you for that.
That's my number one. I spent probably like 200 hours on that game. Between playing that with all my buddies, like that is an awesome space game to me.
It was like a Halo MMO in a lot of ways.
Yes.
Okay, let me rephrase that. It was Halo-esque in a lot of ways. You had what's the guy that followed you around?
Yeah, you had
he was like the guilty spark in Halo.
You know what? I don't even remember. It has been a while, but. Yeah, the Destiny.
Peter Dinklage did the voice.
Peter Dinklage did the voice.
Nolan North had to replace him.
Yeah, it had you go into different planets. It had different speeder bikes you can use to fly around these different planets. I mean, it had awesome controls. The awesome
multiplayer was fun.
Controls. Yeah, definitely a great partner experience. You'd play with your friends, squad up, to go through raids, do different missions together. It was a great time.
Well, yeah, because I didn't get into it for a while because I wasn't a fan of the beta.
No.
And then you and everybody else were like, oh, you just got to jump in with it. So one day I remember when I went and bought it. Went and picked it up. And I mean, I got really heavily into it for a little bit. But listen to this, guys. The moment it's time for me to do my very first raid, none of the guys would be found. They had moved on at that point.
Yeah.
So I get to my first raid. And to this day, I've still never completed a raid in Destiny. Never completed a raid, and that was my moment where I gave up, because I spent a lot of time into it. I got my character to where I needed to be. I started doing the post-leveling type thing, and in the moment it comes time for me to do the vault, the vaulted glass.
Vaulted glass, yeah.
The time it came for me to do that, you guys just up and left.
Yeah.
And so I tried to run through it myself. It wasn't happening.
See, that was the only thing with Destiny was that although it was a great game, it did get too repetitive. Like, it got repetitive. Like, don't get me wrong, this is still up there for me. It's still my number one as far as space games go, just because I spent so much time with it.
You played the heck out of that game.
Yeah, but I have to admit, it did get repetitive. It did have those times where it just like felt like you're doing the same thing over and over again, but it had its charm. Like, it had the great controls. It had fun missions to do. It was
the little hub areas, like the cities and stuff. Those were just fun to play around in, and like just jump off and like try and mess with people. So yeah, that was cool. Start dancing, impromptu dance mode. Yeah, no, that was. I'll give you that one. Yeah, you could. I could see that being your number one.
All right.
I don't have a problem with that. Destiny was fun. It had a rocky start. I don't think it deserved as much backlash as it got in the beginning. Maybe Peter Dinklage did, because I don't know what they were thinking. I don't even know if that's entirely his fault or the director's fault, but they replaced him with Nolan North.
We got some really good lines out of it, though.
Yeah. There were some good lines, but anyways, moving on.
What's yours?
My number one.
Number one.
And which adds into this week, Mass Effect 2. Not the first one.
I feel like you planned it because Mass Effect is coming out.
Maybe I did, but maybe I didn't. But for the longest time, I've actually said Mass Effect 2 has been my favorite space game, mainly because it was the first time it kind of gave us a Star Wars. I mean, well, not the first time, but that it gave us a complete kind of space opera feel.
Yeah.
Now, it was coming off the events of the first game, so you do have to play that to kind of understand a little bit of what's going on, but it does a good job explaining in the beginning. And in my opinion, that's where the series actually peaked. Because the third one came out, and for all the people that complained and about the ending, for the most part, the third one was good, but the second one had it still had a lot of those RPG elements to make it your own adventure, whereas I think 3 kind of lost a lot of that, and the first one had too much of it.
Yeah.
So 2 was that perfect balance, and that's actually what I'm hoping from Andromeda, is that kind of perfect balance between RPG and action, because the action moments were fun in it.
Yeah.
I mean, they were a lot of fun in it. You know, when you're fighting those bosses and you're switching weapons real quick and throwing their grenades out. I mean, it was like a space action, like
a lot of different options.
Terrible movie, but Lost in Space. There was moments in it where it reminded me of the Lost in Space movie. Great series, terrible movie. So I remember sitting down in my room playing that, just back in 2010ish, 9ish, whenever it came out. And that was the moment where I realized Mass Effect was a great series. And then 3 comes out, and I'm like, what did you do?
What did you do?
What happened? How did it go from being the peak to, like, you went from a peak to a valley? And like I said, for all the hate it got, it still had some great moments. And I still like 3. The opening sequence in the city was beautiful in 3. But 2, like I said from the beginning, they had great voice work in it too. It had what's her name? The girl from Chuck. She was in Chuck. Now I can't think of her name, but she also had Seth Green.
Yeah.
And but I mean, it had a good cast of characters, good voice acting. You had Commander Shepard, and like I loved going to like the Citadel and stuff like that, and running around and going into like those little nightclubs, and you're having the investigative missions, and it had that space feel to it. You felt like you were flying around space, and you were talking to different people and meeting people, doing side quests. So it felt like a livable, breathable world, which, like, again, the first one did too, but I hated driving that vehicle around the planets. I know some people loved that and they were upset when it went away, but that annoyed me.
Yeah.
And they had to fight the giant worms that come out. I'm like, what is this, Beetlejuice? What am I doing here? But I mean, that makes it my number one, but I do want to kind of throw an honorable mention out there.
Yeah, what is that?
And and this has kind of occurred to me last minute when you were talking about Star Fox Adventures. Rareware had actually a great space game, and it wouldn't make my top 5. It may not even make my top 10, but it deserves a mention at least. Jet Force Gemini.
Jet Force Gemini. Hell
I mean,
yeah.
did you ever play that extensively?
Yeah, it was janky as hell, but I loved it.
It was so janky. It reminded me. It had like aspects from like Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
Stargate with the whole pyramid thing.
Mm-hmm.
Rareware, and like it had kind of a co-op thing. It didn't you couldn't have 2 players running around the screen at the same time. But what you could do is you had that little guy that would fly around over you, and the second player could basically control that guy and shoot the basically giant ants, because that's what they look like, giant ants.
Yeah.
Bipedal
Bipedal.
giant ants. We're walking around. They kind of look like stuffed animals a little bit.
What a weird, that game came out of nowhere, I feel like.
It really did, and I don't remember how we found it, but I remember once we did, we rented it all the time until at some point I traded a friend for it, and then me and my brothers played through it. We got all the way to the end where you got to go and start scouring stuff for the pyramid, and we gave up on it for a while. And I never returned to it until in high school. I remember when I finally beat it, I was like, okay, I did it. It's done.
It's done. That's it.
That's it. But again, like I said, I think it deserves an honorable mention because it was a game at that time that had that very space traveling kind of thing. But I don't even, like I said, I don't think it would make my top 10, but it definitely deserves a mention in discussing this type because I did have a lot of fun with it. But objectively, it is a bad game in so many areas. But fun. Kind of a return to the days of old.
Yeah.
Of just fun. Jank. Yeah, of jank and fun. Fun and jank. Janky fun. That's what we're going to call it.
Janky fun.
Janky fun. So, anything else you want to say? You got any honorable mentions there?
Well, I am looking forward to, how about what are we looking forward to here? I've got Persona coming out in April. Definitely excited to be playing that one. That's going to be the next game I'm going to be focusing on, I think.
How are you doing in Horizon?
I think I'm about halfway through.
Look, guys, comment on this page. Tell him to finish this.
I'm going to finish it. I
want to get his full review on it because I want to hear it. Because you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to start tonight. I'm going to finally dive into it.
You said you were going to start that tonight.
Yeah, now that I'm finished with Zelda, I'm going to give that a play through here right before Mass Effect comes out. But with Mass Effect coming out this week.
Yeah, that's going to be your game that you're playing, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to be playing that, and I'm even thinking about doing a surprise stream. Well, I guess it's not a surprise anymore, but...
I just ruined it.
Yep, I just ruined the surprise, guys. But I'm thinking about maybe doing a stream Monday night, showing some people some characters. Do a little character creation stuff. So that's what I'm going to be doing this week, doing a little streaming for that. We've got some prep work coming up here, getting ready for next week's episode. We've got some surprises in work for next week.
Yeah, some really cool things, actually. From what I come to understand.
Yeah, hopefully it all comes to plan. But either way, next week, guys, I will have my Zelda review, a formal one. I cannot be as elaborate as I want to. Thank you, Nintendo, for that.
Yeah.
They seem to be going after anybody reviewing that game for some reason. Even if they give it resounding reviews, they're going to monetize our video, and I'm not going to put 20 to 40 hours worth of work into something that you guys are going to monetize. So I'm just going to give a brief, but a formal review next week.
Absolutely.
So if you're interested in that, tune in. We'll probably segment it out the following week. So if you're just interested in that, anyways. So I think that does it for the day.
I think so. That's pretty good. How do you feel about it?
I feel pretty good. You know, good week. Anyways, guys, stay safe out there. Game hard. Play hard. Like, comment, and subscribe. And again, guys, we're so close to our first milestone. If you haven't subbed yet, and
I almost want to say that by the time you hear this, we already hit it. That'd be so cool, but
yeah, we don't know yet. We don't know. It's all up to you guys. You viewing in the past, in the present, in the future.
That is kind of a weird way of putting it.
Yeah, but guys, we need your subs because it helps us, and it also helps propel us forward to the big things we want to do. We have a lot of big things planned, but right now we've got to get moving. So if you haven't subbed yet, please do. It doesn't cost you anything. Just sub on our YouTube channel.
Tell all your friends.
If you're a fan of Twitch and you watch Twitch a lot, we do have our Twitch page running.
Yeah, we got a Twitch now. We have a Facebook page. Yes. Just started an Instagram page as well.
Mm-hmm. So look us up on those.
We're getting social.
Yeah, we're getting social. We'll have a Twitter probably up this week, so we'll make an announcement on that on our Facebook page. But guys, we're doing this because we love video games. We're doing this kind of for you. We just like discussing video games.
Yeah.
That's really what this comes down to. But we have a lot of crazy stuff planned. But again, we need to generate the viewers in order for us to do that. Because I ain't doing this for 2 to 3 people, we've got some cool stuff planned, some stuff outside, some stuff on the move, some stuff on the go.
This is all just like a base starting. Yeah, this is
guys,
practice.
If we were a mountain, this is the snowball, the tiny little ball that's starting to roll down to be a giant snowball.
Yeah.
So again, guys, like I said, have a great gaming week, have fun, and
we'll see you.
Next week. Yep, next Sunday.
Woo!
With a Zelda review. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.
Peace out.